Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Simply Nerdy. This is Anthony hosting today, and I am joined by David.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so we're also joined by Lisa.
Hello.
So what we wanted to talk about today was our thoughts on Fire Emblem Engage, which is coming out on the 20th, this Friday as of this recording.
Yeah, and at the time of this recording, most reviews for the game from major sites have gone live. So,
well, last I checked, it was 82 Metascore, so pretty respectable. At least for my part, I can't speak for these other two, though I think they're both interested. But for my part, I wanted to kind of talk about why I'm excited about this game and some of the things that I feel like it's doing that makes me perhaps more excited than I was about Three Houses. And yes, I know that's heresy, but you know what? I am. So maybe I'll just kind of share my thoughts, and then you guys, interject or jump in with things that you're excited about or things that you are maybe worried about or whatever it might be. But I'm going to jump straight into the meat and potatoes to start, because the thing that has me most excited about Fire Emblem Engage, and I know that this is kind of counter to what a lot of people really liked about Three Houses. I love how it's returning to a focus on the strategic gameplay. That is why I play Fire Emblem. I really enjoy the strategic battles, and I really like when those battles mean something for the story. And let me qualify that. And I need to preface this by saying, I don't have anything against Fire Emblem Three Houses. I thought it was an excellent game with a solid story, but I also felt like it was mired by busy work. And maybe that's just a personal opinion, but I felt like the social sim aspects consumed so much of my time. And then, also working on battles throughout the month and, teaching lessons and things like that I got to progress the story maybe once, every 6 play hours, which is... I wasn't okay with that. It took me, and yes, I'm a completionist. I'm a bit of a min-maxer when it comes to strategy RPGs, so you could say I did it to myself, but I am not saying that the lack of a social sim has made this an instantly better game. I'm saying that from my perspective, as a person who does not like social sims, I see that to be a good thing. And I'm sure that's going to be an unpopular opinion. And I will say this also. People say that the social sim has been removed. I feel like the more proper way of putting it is that it has been toned back significantly. And it sounds a lot more like it was in Awakening than Three Houses. And I don't know. For me, There was too much to do with Three Houses. I got to the point where I dreaded exploration days because every day would require me to talk to every person if I wanted to get all the supports, return lost items, give gifts, have tea parties, have meals, make sure that everyone's motivation levels were up, for the next series of lessons. And heaven forbid that I do that, I do a battle instead that week, because then nobody has any motivation to study the next week. And also I need to battle because they need to level up. But eventually it gets to the point where there's so many of these side battles that you just lose the bead on the story. To the point where I'm like, I can't even remember what the story is anymore. All I know is that I've been running around this stupid monastery hunting down, these brats, trying to get them to join my side. Like, okay, yeah, I apparently had some strong feelings on this.
The joys of teaching.
Anthony's hot takes are coming out now.
I've winkled them out of him.
I know that these are unpopular opinions, because I know that Fire Emblem Three Houses was well beloved in large part because of the social sim, but it wasn't really for me. And I will say, it's not that the way it was designed was bad, it was that there was just so much of it. Just so much. And it got to the point where even the battles felt like slogs, because I'm like, I have to do like 3 of these for this week or two or however many battles you have based on your professor level, I have to do this many before I can finally get to the next week and figure out what I'm going to do next. And it's like this big laundry list of chores you have to do before you get to go to the next story chapter. I hated that.
I guess I can see that being kind of exhausting. To be honest, I can fully see myself cracking open game facts. Cracking open a game facts guide, so I don't have to do any of the thinking on that stuff, because I'll probably get tired of it. And I haven't used game facts in a while, so that would be a blast from the past.
I mean, again, I'm a min-maxer, so, a lot of people would probably say I did this to myself, but my first playthrough, it took me over 70 hours to get through the first half of the game. 70 hours, and most of it was the chores. And as I saw it. So I struggled with that. Now, again, I want everyone here to know that, yes, I have these unpopular opinions, but I still thought that Fire Emblem Three Houses was an excellent game. So, yeah, we're completely not talking about Engage anymore, but we'll get back to it.
I guess, guys, the takeaway here is that you don't come to Anthony for takes on the social sim if you like those, because they're not his jam. Kind of like you don't go to Steven for his takes on turn-based RPGs because they're not his jam.
I guess so. But so the story was really solid. I thought that it was probably one of the best stories I've seen in a Nintendo game. I am excited about Engage, at least in part because they've stepped a little bit away from the chores. And I know... light me up in the comments if you wish. I'm not trying to say that they're inherently bad things that nobody should like. I'm just saying they're not my thing. And so I'm glad that they're toning it back, but they're still making it. I mean, it sounds like there's still those elements there. Just they're not front and center anymore. Anyway. But back to my main point, really, that again, the thing that I really love about Fire Emblem is the combat. And not only does it looks like the game has a focus on the combat once again, and meaningful combat. Remember I was talking about how battles that weren't story related in Three Houses got to the point where they felt like slogs themselves because you weren't really ever getting to see the story progress, and that was annoying.
I can say that as far as like Engage goes, Anthony was just poring over the animations. And he showed me some of the animations for like an encounter between one of your heroes and an enemy, and the animations were nice. Like, it looked like they put some real thought and work into it, so it was impressive.
Yeah. That's a good segue. So that's another one of my the things I'm really excited about is just the animation quality seems to be a leap above every other entry in the series. I felt like they did a good job, or at least a decent job in Three Houses, but at the same time, I felt like everyone basically did the same type of things. Like there was only a very small set of moves. And sometimes it kind of felt a little stiff. This just seems to feel more fluid, and like there's kind of a momentum that seems to be carried in the animations and in the attacks, and also just the attention to detail. Like, for example, if you're battling an enemy on a field that has a fence separating the both of you, then when you go to attack the enemy, the battle animation will show the fence crash down as you charge through it and attack. And then when you go back out, the fence will be gone on the map as well. Like just these crazy attention to detail that not only comes through in the animation quality, but also just in kind of the continuity of the game itself. So I really love it when a game brings that type of attention to detail, and I feel like the animation just really sells that for me. Also, kind of related to that, the performance, from what I've heard from reviewers and from what I feel like I've seen in the trailers and videos I've seen so far, is that it looks like the performance is excellent and a major improvement over Three Houses. Three Houses had some technical issues. It didn't really hold it back in terms of how good the game could be, but there were times when it was very noticeable.
So here's a question. Are the times when it was noticeable when you were like wandering around the monastery or whatever and it was like 3D third person running around? And does this game even have that? And that's why we're getting better?
No. So it was mostly when you were exploring in Three Houses, but this game also does have that, and apparently, according to Nintendo Life, it runs without. I think it was Nintendo Life. One of the reviewers said we didn't detect a single problem in performance.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I might be crediting the wrong people, but I know I read that from somewhere, and I think it was Nintendo Life. Anyway,
looking at reviews today, I saw at least one review specifically point that out. Like, the performance is great. The visual presentation is significantly improved over Three Houses as well. So it's impressive that they have done both. The game looks better and performs better. So.
Very cool. Here's a question. Is there any interesting or improved upon mechanics that either of you are excited about?
Thank you for that segue.
You're welcome.
So I think the thing that maybe I have, there's a couple things that I'm most excited about. And, again, the majority of it relates to the combat, because beating a dead horse here, that is definitely the thing that I come to Fire Emblem for. But the engage system, first and foremost, I feel like that has the feel of it sounds like it's going to add a ton of depth and flexibility to how you build your characters, how you can set up a given battle. I mean, I don't know the degree to which you can you change your characters by equipping them with emblem rings, but I know that it makes it so they can use the engage mechanic, which allows for really powerful attacks when you fill up the gauge through battling or whatever it is that fills it up. But also you can like inherit abilities from the emblem that you engage with, and I don't know. It sounds like basically you can change how you build your character even on the fly. Like, not just, okay, for this next bit I want them to be this class. It almost sounds like from a battle to battle perspective, you can keep them a given class but still give them different utilities, and that just sounds exciting. It sounds like it is going to introduce some really nice wrinkles to the combat system that is just going to make every battle a really cerebral experience, and that sounds exciting to me. There's few things in gaming that can bring me as much joy as approaching a difficult battle and wondering how on earth you can accomplish it, and then piecing it together as you go and being victorious. And it's just this seems like it's going to lend very strongly to that. So I'm
this tracks for our resident PDF enthusiasts.
For those who are not aware, that is my chat nickname, because
he likes the charge blade.
I like the charge blade in Monster Hunter Rise, and I studied to get good at it, because you kind of have to. So okay, so just quickly jump into some of my other thoughts. I really like not only the return of the weapon triangle system, which I enjoyed in Awakening. I kind of felt like it required a little bit extra strategic planning in your battles, but I'm really kind of excited about the break mechanic. And there's a part of me that's a little bit nervous about that, because I'm wondering, okay, well, do you always break an enemy when you use a weapon that is strong against their weapon type, or is it take a certain number of hits? because I know that they can't counterattack for the rest of the turn. So, if it's too easy to inflict break, then the battles will lose all meaning because you can just break everything and then mow them down while they can't do anything. But I get the sense, based on what I've heard from reviewers and from people who say that it's a surprisingly challenging game, that it's probably more nuanced. There's probably some sort of, I don't know, like hit point system, some sort of hidden hit point system that says you have to do this much damage or these many hits with the strong weapon to cause a break to happen. I don't know. It looks like a cool new strategic element that I think will be really exciting, and something you have to be careful about because enemies can break you too. The battle quality, because I've been hearing people say this is possibly the best combat system yet in a Fire Emblem game.
That's exciting.
Yeah, to have a focus on the battles and to have the battles better than ever sounds like a really solid combination, according to this fan here at least. I know that a lot of people have said, okay, well, but the story kind of falls flat and the characters feel 2D in comparison to Three Houses, and I'm almost expecting that to be true, because
how can that be the case with clown aesthetic? They've got to be interesting.
You've got to put your finger on the pulse of the online conversations right now. Apparently, it's unsurprisingly very divisive among fans, and they do look ridiculous. Let's just put it out there right now. And
I fully expected, like when I first saw the main character, I was like, all right, any moment now they're going to resolve this 3D glasses look they have going on. And then it was just like, nope, that's their design. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I will admit that the character didn't make a good first impression. Where it's like, wow, okay. But hopefully it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah. Here's my good impression. They have very pretty eyes.
I've kind of gotten to the point where it doesn't bother me anymore. I mean, it's not my favorite design.
You're not mad. You're disappointed.
It doesn't bother me anymore. I would change it if I had the chance or the choice, but it's not going to affect my enjoyment to the least, from what I can tell. And as for the issue of characterization and story, I will say, kind of seeing the first trailers, it does look to me like it's just not going to be as deep as Three Houses. I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, I'm not expecting the story to be amazing, but it looks like it's going to be fun to play.
I'm going to say, mark my words, though. The main character's really weird, aesthetic and color scheme is going to have some sort of story. It's gonna have weight in the story for some reason.
I think it's definitely going to end up playing some sort of narrative role, even if it looks ridiculous. And also, we do know that they are, the main character is some sort of, human incarnation of a divine dragon. So, I feel like I can almost suspend my disbelief on that basis alone.
But yeah. Despite all my heckling, I'm at least very interested in the game. I'll have to admit that my interest is a little bit waylaid by the fact that I haven't played Three Houses yet, and my brain is kind of like, wow, I should probably play that one first. I don't think that's going to happen, though.
Yeah, I want to give my thoughts on it. I have very little experience with Fire Emblem, so no, my only experience with Fire Emblem is Smash Bros. And and Fire Emblem Warriors.
You know that neither of those is anything like Fire Emblem.
I know. It was Smash Bros. First, where I was like, who are all these characters? Obviously they love them. Yeah, there's a plethora of representation for Fire Emblem, and it's a meme basically now about how many Fire Emblems there are in Smash Bros. So obviously I couldn't help but have my interest piqued by that a little bit, like what makes this so special. And then Fire Emblem Warriors, I played the first one, not the most recent one. I'll admit, even just from playing that, I was like, Fire Emblem Fate's story sounds so stupid.
Just because it's like, oh, which family do I choose?
I don't know. All I know is that like the Fire Emblem Warriors game like had little bits of story from Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates, and the parts about Fate's story, like I just couldn't believe how bad it was. It's like
it's a meme.
there was a part where it had a branching quest line in Fire Emblem Warriors. You know, they split up the Fire Emblem Fates characters. Fates, yeah. and then it was the same plot for both branching lines, just with different characters, and it was apparently based on the story from Fire Emblem Fates. And anyway, so that didn't make a good first impression, but that's my experience with Fire Emblem. I wanted to give it a try, so I was excited when Three Houses was announced for the Switch, and especially since it's had a lot of critical acclaim. But my free time is very limited, and a game has to be very special for me to commit that much time to it. The social sim stuff, the romance simulator stuff in Three Houses.
Romance?
Apparently. It doesn't sound fun to me. I don't think I've ever played a social sim, romance sim game. So, obviously, I'm with Anthony. Like, when this new game, the more we learned about it, there's a lot less of that. Oh, that's a plus for me. And all these reviews where they're like listing that as the negative for Fire Emblem Engage. I'm like, oh, well, if that's the only negative, the only major negative you have, I think I'm going to be just fine. I love turn-based strategy games. So the opportunity to potentially play a story-driven strategy RPG like the Fire Emblem series, that really intrigues me. And this new game just feels a lot more accessible to a newcomer than Three Houses does. So it's got my interest, and the reviews that I've seen that have been quite positive. This might be my first Fire Emblem game finally. Maybe I'll finally give the series a chance. It probably won't be a day one purchase for me, but it's on my wish list now, and I can see myself getting it this year.
And as for me, it is sitting in my download queue right now.
Nice. So you can give us your direct thoughts soon, and tell us if your hopes are satisfied.
I will. So I think that probably sums up our lengthy thoughts on Fire Emblem Three Houses.
At least for now.
I'm just really excited for this new entry. It looks like it's bringing a new level of polish, and it sounds like there's a lot to love. And we'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Are you excited about the new game? Do you feel like it's a major step back for the series that they're paring back the social sim, or are you kind of with us in terms of being glad that they're refocusing back on the traditional elements of Fire Emblem gameplay? Yeah, until next time,
keep it nerdy.